So just came upon something I've never come upon before on a rail trail, and it's actually behind me. This trail was once used by the Chesapeake and Ohio Railroad, but today it's home to some incredible findings just like this. To find out where I am and what this is, we need to go back to the beginning of this journey. So if you're ready, just come along with me. What I'm going to be exploring today is known as the Greenbrier River Trail, and it's actually the longest trail of its kind in West Virginia. The C&O Railroad originally hauled timber and serviced tanneries, but over time, as the industries declined, the line became abandoned in the 1970s. Now, the entire trail is 78 miles in length, but we're going to be doing a section of it starting here in Marlinton, West Virginia, and heading north to see what kind of findings we can find along the way. Now, just to give you more perspective, depending on how you look at it, the trail officially starts or ends in Cass, West Virginia, which is about 25 miles in that direction. Cass is also home of the Cass Scenic Railroad, so you could actually start there and ride south 78 miles the entire length if you wanted to. Now, we're not going to reach Cass today, but we're going to be heading in that direction because somewhere along the line there's a bridge and even a tunnel that we're going to go through. Both Matt and myself are ready for an adventure, and the journey starts right now here in Marlinton, West Virginia. So we're going to get on our bikes and head north to see what we can discover. Now, obviously the tracks don't continue, but where we're riding would have been the rail line, so it's part of the C&O history, Chesapeake and Ohio. All right, then we came upon our first finding. Oh, it's an old water tower filling station. Now, with this being my first time on this trail, I honestly have no idea what to expect other than I know there is a bridge and a tunnel we're going to come to later on. But right now, we came upon our first fascinating finding. This is an old water tower filling station for the steam locomotives. Very similar to what we've seen at the Cass Scenic Railway, which is still in use there. They do use their water tower, and there is the spot right there that they lower down onto the tender. Get a closer look here on the innards of it. Looks like there was some steps going up to it. And we now under the base of it. Steel framed with some wood. It probably goes down to the inside of where the piping would be. It is sitting on concrete supports. I'm not sure if this was refurbished or not. I'm guessing it probably was, to have it last generation after generation. But again, if you've been to Cass Scenic Railway or seen my videos from there, they have one nearly identical to this, which is still in use to fill up their Shay locomotives. They pull underneath it, the conductor or fireman gets on the top of the tender, pulls it down, pulls the handle, and fills it up with water. So right now Matt is playing cameraman, and he's going to show you sense of scale compared to me with this massive water tower. It is pretty big. If I was to imagine or guess, it's probably about between 30 to 40 feet high, but it is pretty large. Massive structure, and from the old railroading days, preserved here along the Greenbrier River Trail. Now behind the tower, and just wanted to point out, I did find a foundation right there. Nothing significant, but something was there at one time. And I'll show you the proximity of that from the water tower, which is right there. We keep digging deeper into this. We thought we were done I showed you the foundation where Matt's standing, and he came over to take a closer look at it and discovered that it's a perfect circle, which means only one thing. It's a turntable. Would have been probably a small roundhouse here or a maintenance shop, but 100% you could see the curvature right around. That's why it's close proximity to the filling station there. So right now where we're standing would have been an open pit with the bridge going across it to navigate or maneuver the locomotives to the different stalls, different locations. But yeah, I believe about 99% confident we just discovered an old turntable. And here's the edge of it right here. It's perfectly curved in a circle. And that's about the right size of one too.
Yeah, I think you may be right. This could have been like a maintenance shop.
Yeah, I've seen those before, so I'm thinking that's what it was. But nice finding, confirming it's a turntable. I wouldn't have known that if I didn't come over. We're literally only 5 minutes into our journey so far, and already we made a great discovery. Can't wait to see what else we find today. Got a shady section of the trail here. It's actually quite cool in the shade. Today started off in the upper 40s. It's supposed to be high in the 70s, but not a cloud in the sky. Almost no humidity. Perfect riding weather. Now, although this is the former C&O Railroad, this does follow the Greenbrier River, hence the name Greenbrier River Trail. But it is officially a rail trail. And we did start off on pavement, and we are now on a packed down gravel surface. Tracking my progress today too on this app. I'll be able to show that at the end. As we do make our way down the trail, I'm gonna be on the lookout for some access down to the river, at least easy access. Here's a bit of a drop off, but we did stop here because there is a placard with a bit of information. It says a little fish with a big roll. And at first glance, I thought that was just a picture of a fish from an aquarium, but I guess that's in the river. It says candy darter, only about 2 to 3 inches long, helps in the important task of maintaining water quality in our mountain streams. If you do want to read the rest of that, you could just pause the video. But someone did take the effort to write, "Don't whore out Pocahontas County to tourist industry." And thank you, locals. So we'll do our best not to whore out the county to the tourist industry. But yeah, I'd love to see a fish like that underwater because I do want to get down to the water, give you some underwater footage. If we could capture one of those on camera, that would be pretty awesome. But I had no idea a fish like that would be in these waters right here, but good to know.
Seeing how crystal clear they are. Even.
Off in the distance in the field is a farmer working with his tractor, and I want to stop and show you that along the way are mile posts or mile markers. We're at number 60, and they are increasing as we head north towards Cass. So the final one should be 78, but this does help you track your progress if you're not using an app or if your bike doesn't have a speedometer on it. All you got to do is look for the mile posts. They are every mile from 1 all the way up to 78. We're at number 60 right now. Still continuing down the trail, we are following the bend of the river. Really scenic, really shady, and actually really chilly in the shade. Kind of wishing I brought my hoodie with me, but it will warm up as the day goes on. But we pulled off here to a really beautiful area. An area that has a bend in the river and a bend in the trail. And look at the mountains there. Just picture, back in the old days, a train coming around the bend right here. Seeing the smoke puffing up and getting the views of the river. I think they should add to the name of the Greenbrier River Trail to the Greenbrier Gorgeous River Trail, because it's absolutely gorgeous. And there's a sign here, another placard with some more fun facts. This one gave me and Matt a little bit of a laugh. This is known as the amphibian of many names. It's actually the eastern hellbender, sometimes referred to as the snot otter, lasagna lizard, and Allegheny alligator. And they average from 12 to 15 inches long. So maybe later on we'll get a glimpse of one of those down in the river. I'm keeping my eyes peeled for an easy access point down there because I really do want to get you some underwater footage. The river is absolutely crystal clear. It's on the low side, but it's still going to offer some great opportunities at a look beneath the surface. Do see a bit of a like a sandbar or a dry point jetting out. If there's access there, I'm going to head down. If not, somewhere along the river today, I will get down there. And Matt is doing a pose for all the viewers here. There you go, rocking the dad bod. Absolutely gorgeous section of trail here. Look at the deep, dark blue sky. We've got multiple colors of leaves, yellows, orange, reds, greens, and a nice straightaway on the former rail line. We have kind of ventured off away from the river for the time being. I'm sure at some point we will come closer to it, but not hating the scenery and not a terrible way to spend a Saturday afternoon here in the middle of October. Like usual, video's not doing this place justice, and in the future I will be back to ride even more of this trail. I think I wouldn't mind starting at Cass, working my way south, and doing it in increments and covering the whole 78 miles. You can only imagine what you can find along that whole stretch. I do know going south though, around 26 miles from Marlinton is another train tunnel, but that one is a bit more remote, and that would be over 50 miles round trip to go back and forth. So this won't be my only time on this trail, I can guarantee you that. We stopped just past milepost 62. We just came from that direction. Also, I didn't show it on camera, but we did see a couple posts with the W on it, which stands for whistle, because there was a crossing back there for a residence. So they have their own little crossing area, but we did pull over just to show you something out from the field here, which is more or less an old farmhouse. And I said it would make for a great photo opportunity if we could get a clear shot of it, and thankfully there was a spot here. I'm not going to go past this sign here, but I can at least zoom in a little bit, show you that it's just sitting here in the middle of the field with a gorgeous backdrop of the mountains, the blue sky, the green grass, and like usual, to wonder what the stories could tell inside those walls. But I think it is somewhat being taken care of. It has a somewhat newer metal roof on it, but it's definitely seen better days. And over here to the right, there's some other structures in the field. Old farmstead, right here, nestled at the base of the mountains of
How quiet it is.
West Virginia, except for you talking.
I know, right?
Yeah, like Matt has a good point though. Like, I'm gonna give you guys just a moment of silence to hear what we hear, which is absolutely nothing. You hear crickets, occasional insect buzzing by our ears.
Yeah. And like I was saying, you see a lot of these on the roads, coming in here. Once you start getting away from like the main areas, you'll see tons of these little farmhouses sitting up on a hill, just completely left to disrepair.
Yeah, it makes you wonder always, at least I wonder, why they became abandoned.
Yeah.
But probably family members pass on, no one left to take care of it. Areas like this, you get a true sense of the rail bed. Not only is it flat and elevated, but you can see the banking on the sides. So 100% unmistakable, that's a rail bed. And every so often there are these little bridges that go over little tributaries that are pretty much dried up at the moment. Then you have these nice long straightaways like this, tree lined, covered in leaves. And I took the opportunity to do some high-speed runs on the straightaway with the leaves. And I'd be lying if I said that it wasn't pretty fun. I definitely enjoyed doing that. Made some more progress. We are ever closer to our somewhat destination of the tunnel and bridge, but I noticed something very distinct on the sides of the rail bed here. So if you look, what I spotted was this drop off here, which looks like water just flowed through at one time, and obviously a drop off here where water flows out towards the river. So I'm thinking there might be a type of culvert passage underneath the rail line. So I'm going to venture down there. Stuck. So I'm now down in the creek bed, if you want to call it that, the outflow. The river's right there. And as we turn around and look, yes indeed, there is a culvert, completely made out of stone. And it goes directly beneath the old C&O railroad bed. Not really big enough to go through. I mean, I could make it if I hunch over, but I don't really want to do that. But I just want to document it while we're here. Definitely some cooler air down here. And it's a buildup of material on the ground from the water flow, which is washed down from the other side. But it is completely made out of stone and blocks. See this big slab on top, which is kind of holding the weight on top. So, built to last, as they say. Probably some cave crickets further in. What's that?
They don't make them like they used to.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't had rain in a few days, so it is pretty much bone dry. Just some dampness down here. But my intuition was correct. We did indeed find an old stone culvert underneath the rail trail, which was the former C&O. Well, we haven't made a whole lot of progress since the last clip you just saw of me exploring that culvert. We went literally about 100 feet. I looked down and I believe we found a much more impressive culvert. One that may require a flashlight and then we can actually walk through. It looks a bit deeper, a bit longer, so let's head down there now and check it out. Like the last one, the water does flow out in this direction towards the river just over there. Look at this massive tree with this big growth on the end of it. That is like the size of a big rig tire. That's pretty big. You can see how it's unearthed from the water. So if we follow this backwards, this should take us back to the culvert. Oh, I think it's a bit deceiving, but still kind of impressive, but deceiving. So, okay, so it's good and bad. Good is there's a 2-chamber culvert. Bad, it's not big enough to go through, but it is significantly longer. So this one goes roughly, I would say, 30 to 40 feet. And then we have one on this side too, right there. So it's a 2-chamber culvert. Instead of just making one bigger one, they have it as a diversion going through both sides of it. And again, completely made out of stone. Looking at 1800s construction with these. And of course, covered in some gorgeous nature's carpet right there. But as I shine the light in, you can see it's all rock. I mean, you could crawl through it, but I'm not prepared to do that.
Yeah,
but
you
it's
definitely need some
knee pads.
yeah.
It's almost plugged up on the other side, which we will give a view of on the other side because it is stone lined. This one's even more plugged up. But yeah, when I saw it from the top, I saw the top of this, saw the bottom down here, how deep it is. I'm like, oh yeah, we could walk through it. But no, it's just a ledge.
A little bit bigger than the other one, maybe.
Yeah, but this one is cooler looking, more impressive, since it is a 2-chamber culvert. And this one's actually, ooh, I just noticed this, fractured right there. That's actually going to fall at some point. Good thing there's no trains going over this anymore, but that is fractured and broken. I'm going to back out of the way, let Matt take a look at it, but yeah, deceiving, but still interesting to me at least. I do love these culverts. Just wish it was big enough to go through. Just came from the other side over there, checking out the openings. On the other side of the trail here is where you will find where the water enters those culverts. They are pretty plugged up. Not plugged solid, but not completely open. But the thing I like about this side though, is that there's a stone retaining and guidance wall. So the water comes down the mountain, flows down, and that water not only helps with the retention and erosion of the side, it also kind of helps direct the water right into the openings of the culverts. And you can see all the debris here on the ground. That's what's helping plug up those openings. So at some point in the future, they may get plugged solid, and it's going to require some remediation and maybe some heavy equipment to clear that out. So just came upon something I've never come upon before on a rail trail, and it's actually behind me. But I do want to show you what's up ahead here. We were talking to these kind folks. They were actually curious about our e-bikes. We were telling them all about them, and they said, oh yeah, we have to look into those in the future. So right where they are actually some restrooms out here, some bathroom facilities. And over here is actually a shelter, complete with a picnic table. Take care. There's a fire ring. There's bench seating in there. And you can weather out a storm. Take care. Just a really neat finding right here along the trail. Now, that's not what's interesting to me. It's actually up here by where Matt is. So on the left-hand side where his bike is parked is actually a camping area. There's a pad to set up a tent, picnic table, fire ring, and you are allowed to camp there. But on the other side, just next to Matt, is something I've never seen before along a rail trail. So what we have here is a well pump made by Baker Manufacturing Company by Evansville, Wisconsin. And I actually thought it was just for display, like showing what used to be here back in the time. But lo and behold, it does work. All you gotta do is pump the handle and fresh water comes out. You can either drink from it there, or you can fill something down bottom there.
Like a dish like you bring your dog.
Yeah, a dog dish. That is really neat. According to the app, we've gone just about 10 miles exactly. And just to our right is one of our 2 targets we came to find today. But there is a placard here which is going to help us tell more about it. So what we're looking at is basically that image right there. Steam locomotive for the C&O coming out of the tunnel, heading towards our direction. So it would be over there coming this way. This bridge in Sharps Tunnel is the iconic spot on the trail. Built in 1900, it's the original bridge, the only major bridge not replaced in the rail line upgrading in 1929. And the tunnel is 511 feet in length, and one of 2 on the Greenbrier division. Before we do cross over the bridge and into the tunnel, we're going to go on a little adventure. Matt's going to fly his drone. We're going to head down this little walkway and pathway because this is going to give us clear access to the river. And down there is actually a rope swing, some deeper water, and a clear, visible spot for us to get some underwater footage. Now that we're down here, we had a great side profile of the bridge. And that is a really nice looking bridge. It has 3 stone columns, the metal frame going across to the supports, and then the decking and the railings on top. But from what we learned, it's, for the most part, pretty original. And steam trains came over that many, many times back in the day, going into and coming out of the 511-foot train tunnel, which we're going to be going through ourselves on our bikes. But since we're down here, we got some great water clarity. I got my 7-foot stick, and we're gonna get in there with our camera. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this underwater view of the Greenbrier River here in West Virginia. All right, like usual, I'm gonna start one direction, work my way to the other. And I don't know what we're gonna see, what we're gonna find until I watch the footage back, so it's always the fun part for me. Here we go, into the water. I'm also wearing polarized glasses so I can see even better into the water. It removes the glare, so if there's anything near the camera, I will be able to see it. But hopefully we'll be able to spot some things in the distance in the water. I'm just gonna do a nice slow pan. If the water was warmer, if it was in the summer, I wouldn't mind getting my feet wet and going out there for a few feet, but here in October, it's a different story. Just some floating leaves here on the surface though. It's like a rocky and leafy bottom. And Matt's coming over to spy on us on his drone. So I'm pretty much near the rope swing area where the rope's hanging. And I'm going to lift out of water to show you that there is the bridge. I think I'm going to move a little bit further down here and try a different spot. There is some sun patches over here, and it's also muddy. But I tell you, that rope swing looks like it'd be a lot of fun. You stand up on the platform, swing out. Probably quite the popular spot in the summer. And this time now I'm going to start on the right, work my way to the left towards you guys. We've got some patches of clarity here with the sun, so it should allow for some better visibility. If we see any of those Allegheny alligators or those fish that look like they belong in an aquarium, that would be a great find, but they're probably in the deeper water or hiding somewhere else. This would be a great spot to snorkel too. If I do return in the summer sometime and the conditions are like this, I without a doubt will be doing some swimming and some snorkeling. It wouldn't be the Pisces in me if I didn't. So there's nothing coming up to the camera, nothing being curious or investigating it. Rise up out of here, and there we are. Well, we saw the profile of the bridge from down below. Now time to go across it and experience what it was like for a train to go across it. It's a nice sweeping curve as it goes over the Greenbrier River. Directly heading into the darkness of the 511-foot long tunnel that does require a flashlight. And I can feel the cold air coming out from here. So after you do cross over the bridge, you do get rushed with a blast of cold air. And as we walk over here, the 511-foot Sharps Tunnel presents you a path of darkness that feels much colder. Now, standing here, you get a good sense of scale. I'm 5'11", Matt is 6'2". Height-wise, I always like to give a guesstimate. I'd say 20. 15 to 20 feet. Yeah. Width-wise, probably about 15 feet, I'd say. Yeah. So probably 15 by 20 sounds about right. Definitely tall enough for some large locomotives and some freight cars. And it does go around at a bend, so you can't see any light. So we do have lights on our bike. I do have my O-light with me, so we're going to illuminate it the best way that we can. There's people coming out right now, so we're going to take our turn and go through as well. All right, heading into the dark, cool tunnel. It's at least 20 degrees cooler in here. Looks like it's all carved out of solid rock. It's actually taller up here too. It's really spacious in here. If you're claustrophobic, you wouldn't feel like that in here. Matt made it through no problem. Oh, look up here too. So the construction actually changes. Looks like they did reinforce it and shore it up with some steel beams. Must have been a loose area. And I think that is railroad ties on the top of it, all stacked up, wedged in place. That way nothing loose could fall down onto the main part here and hit someone. So it must have been more of an unstable area that's all shored up and reinforced for this portion of the tunnel to be all lined with these steel beams. So we're now partway in the tunnel. I want to stop and show you some of the structural work. So there's a very pungent smell in here. And if you're familiar with railroad ties, you know what that smell is. It is creosote. So they have it constructed with steel beams and railroad ties or timbers lining the whole top. That ensures that nothing can fall down onto the inside here. But here's the exposed rock. And the beams are basically placed right into them, notched out. You can even see one of the drill holes there too from when they blasted this out. So this was drilled and blasted to create it. And it's a lot of steel, a lot of creosote timbers. And then we're walking back towards where we started from, where the steel part ends and just becomes natural rock. So obviously this section of the tunnel up here is more structurally sound. And they didn't have to shore it up or reinforce it. And that's what it looks like with no lights in here. Looking back the other way, just my bike sitting there in the middle and Matt down there in the distance. And like they say, there is light at the end of the tunnel. I have to say that was a pretty awesome tunnel. I've been through many of them, I've explored many of them. Some are part of rail trails or some are just completely abandoned. But this one is unique in a few aspects. Number one, it's a decent length, 500 feet, over 500 feet. It's curved, but it's also natural rock and steel reinforced. So it's got a different combination of elements going on with it, which makes it a bit special, a bit unique. And knowing that the C&O ran through here back in the day is even more special. This is going to be our turnaround point for us, although the trail does continue into Cass, West Virginia. This is as far as we're going today. As I said earlier, I'm probably going to come back in the future and do different sections of this trail. So the video's not over yet. What I'm going to do is turn around, basically go back to where we started and wrap things up from there, let you know the total mileage and other final thoughts, or maybe some things that I maybe missed along the way. But in the meantime, all I can ask you to do is to sit back, relax, and enjoy this photo montage. What an absolutely gorgeous day here in West Virginia. You honestly can't ask for better weather. It's in the low 70s, low humidity, slight breeze, sunny blue skies. It's absolutely picture perfect. We are back here in Marlinton at the depot area. You guys are actually sitting on the end of the flat car here, and the rails are right there that we saw in the beginning of the video. So on my way back here, I was doing some thinking. I'm like, this trail seems vaguely familiar. And that's my first time being on any rail trail here in West Virginia, specifically the Greenbrier River Trail. But this trail is reminiscent of a trail I did in Pennsylvania, the Lehigh Gorge Rail Trail, specifically from Jim Thorpe to Weisport. That section of trail is very, very similar to this one, where it follows the river. There's some old ruins to check out. You got the mountains and the scenery, some lookout points, and it's also a gravel trail. That trail, if you want to compare, if you've ever been on that one, is similar to this one here, at least this section. Now, we only did a short 10-mile section. We did just over 20 miles round trip. I did closer to 21 because I did a lot of running back and forth for different camera shots and different angles. But in all, it was right around 20 miles round trip from Marlinton to the tunnel and back. Me and Matt already discussed future visits here. We're going to come back and do more sections of the trail. We're going to be back here for the Parade of Steam in 2025. When we do that, I'm going to be riding from Cass, right by the Scenic Railroad, to the tunnels. I think that's a 15-mile section. And then after that, I'm going to be working my way south to the very end of it. So it's 78 miles in total. And each trip back here is going to give me a reason to bring my e-bike and to cover another section of it. Everything from that water tower filling station to the culverts, the bridge, the tunnel, and also just the history itself of the old C&O Railroad, knowing it served tanneries and hauled timbers back in the day until the 1970s. I do want to thank Matt for coming along with me for not only the trip here to West Virginia, but for also doing this trail with me today. We are really hungry though, and we are ready to go eat. So, but I just want to let you know to please share your input down below on what you thought of today's adventure and discoveries. And I do have one request. Those of you watching, if you've ever been on this specific trail, the Greenbrier River Trail, and you've covered different sections of it, let me know what sections you've covered and what there is to possibly see along the way. That'll give me more inclination to want to come back here sooner than later. But to see more rail trail adventures, there will be a playlist down below. And lastly, thank you so very much for coming along with me for riding the Greenbrier River Trail, doing another e-bike adventure, and my very first one in West Virginia. It did not disappoint. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next video. No shit, it works. I can't believe it. What the f? Roll over a pile of shit.
Oh, jeez. Oh, lovely.
I was wondering what the hell's like clumping up. Probably horse shit or something, or deer shit.